Hello peoples, this is Red Pill Phil, on location as it were. I'm currently taking an early morning stroll through the world famous Debdale Park, which is on the outskirts of Manchester. Right, you might think, well, what are you doing here this time of the morning? You should be in bed. Oh, look at that, beautiful. That is lovely. Well, the reason is because Red Pill Phil is not feeling too well. Red Pill Phil and Red Pill Phil's wife has got some kind of viral illness going on. My wife's had it for longer than I am. She's had it since probably Christmas Eve. And as each day passes, we're still kind of feeling a bit bad. I feel personally like I've been run over by a bloody steamroller. I feel like shit, in other words. That is gorgeous. It's one of the reasons why I thought I'd come out here to film the early morning. So couldn't sleep. My sleep pattern's been all over the place past couple of days. Not been able to do much, not left the house in a couple of days. Feel like I'm going frigging insane. I don't even watch telly, but I watched telly all day yesterday and it done my nutting. So the wife don't even know I'm out. She's still in bed, so at some point no doubt she'll be phoning the police. Try to wonder out where I am. So I thought I'd just come and have a little walk. So I hope you're all doing well anyway. I'm sure it'll all brush off within a few days. I've got a friend's party to attend on Friday. Today being Thursday, so I don't know. Don't fancy my chances. Because as progression goes on, it's not really going as quick as I'd like. My wife's still got it, and if she's had it a few more days than me, then I would have thought I'm going to be carrying it for a few more days. So I've not had anything to do with anything, as it were. Not been interested in doing anything, which I felt sorry for my kids. But my kids are alright, they've got some spending money, so they've been off to town and doing what you do in the sales and stuff. So they've just about got away with it, as it were. So, yeah, I thought I'd just come and have a little walk round. Right. I just basically wanted to talk about a scenario I was in. When I was feeling better, Saturday gone, the Saturday before Christmas, I went to a friend's house, had a few drinks. We're both DJs, as it were, so we tend to listen to a lot of music. Had a few drinks at his house and chilled and whatnot. I tend to rob a load of MP3 files off him as well, because he's a download freak. So as I do, I get a lift off him to go down, and then I ring a taxi to come home. Now, for some reason, it seems to be pretty much the same taxi drivers that I get going home, which is fine, because I tend to strike conversation, and most of them are interesting and blah blah blah. Some of them are quite rude for whatever reason. But on this occasion, I was speaking to a geezer taxi driver called Naved, I think his name was. Now, this was the second time he'd picked me up. He recognised me straight away. Decent guy on the face of it. Nice, calm geezer. I remember the last time, before this one, previously, we struck into some really interesting conversations in the 20-minute journey it takes for me to go home. So we kind of I get in the cab and we're talking, and because it's just before Christmas, we start striking into conversations about, this time of year you've got to feel for the disadvantaged, the homeless, this, that and the other. Which at first, on the face of it, he was of the opinion that not so much it's their own fault, but they could do better for themselves. Whereas I kind of mentioned to him, well, you know, we're all kind of a month away from being homeless. You never know what bad scenarios, what bad circumstances can hit you, that can just make you spiral into being homeless. Then he proceeded to tell me about, he goes, well, it's funny you should say that, because another passenger that I had, a lady, happened to say the same thing, which kind of backed up what I was saying. And he was talking about some lady that is homeless now, that goes by the name of Six Bag Annie. And apparently she had a millionaire lifestyle, married to a very affluent geezer, in the mid-50s, I do believe. And she found out that her husband was seeing an 18-year-old. So she couldn't handle it, didn't want it. Not that she should. But her decision was to grab 6 bags of clothing and do one. And I don't know how true it is. I don't know how accurate the story was, but apparently she just literally went living on the streets. Hence a name being called Six Bag Annie. So it was a bit of a sad story, and then the conversation developed from there. We started talking about basically society, the way it's going and whatnot, particularly with the younger generation, which, as you know in previous videos, have a little walk around here. I used to come here with my kids. Oh Jesus, this is all overgrown. Let's have a walk through here. Right, this is one of the reservoirs, by the way, on Debdale. There's a golf course over there, not that you can see it, but I'm having a walk around here. So yeah, we were talking about the social climate and, you know, about the younger generation. And I was making the point that, you know, the younger generation don't really know how good they've got it, and there's a bit of a social demise, let's say, you know, in terms of the way the younger generation act. Now, my point being is that we're being socially engineered into this. It's not something that, oh, well, as a society, let's all live a degraded lifestyle. No, we've got the breakdown of the family, which is not being promoted. Christianity, which is not being promoted. For obviously, you know, for some people might think valid reasons. When I was younger, there was a lot of scandals over priests and whatnot doing nasty things with young boys and this, that and the other. I'm not saying that's the reason, but I probably class myself as a bit of an agnostic, really, if I'm going to be honest. But I like the ideals of just being nice to one another. And if we all kind of lived to them ideals, the world would be a better place. But we've got a social decline with the promotion of the single mother, the degradation of the father in TV. So for me, even though it's happening, and you can see it happening, I only have to pick my kid up from school to see that majority of the families are single mothers, and most of them are young, pretty much kids themselves, who act in a certain way. So it's hardly surprising that the kids are going to have a certain ideal when they see their mothers, their family, you know, whatever, acting in a certain way. So I'm not trying to put all that onto them, I'm just trying to make a point. So to me, you can't blame society, as it were. You've got to look at the fact that we're being steered into it, which is not good. Divide and conquer and all the rest of it. So when you look at the bigger picture, you can see that it's not quite our fault. We're being led into something. Now, Naved's point was because he's which I found out, which kind of shocked me when he said, a Bangladeshi Sunni. Which, oh bloody hell, Sunni and Shia, right, okay. He was saying, you know, within his religion, if you can call it that, the promotion of the family is of the highest order, because, well, let's face it, they're not allowed to do anything else, are they? You know, but that's another subject. So he kind of took a bit of a moral high ground and started almost blaming society, when for me you can't blame society, because we're being led. You only have to watch TV, you only have to watch movies to see that we're being led down this path. So you can't take a moral high ground. And what was ironic, because he's a Bangladeshi Muslim, a Sunni, he was further explaining, I don't know whether I'm going right here, but I'm going to keep going and see where it leads me. He was explaining that polygamy is quite prevalent. They can have up to, oh jeez, I better go somewhere else. They can have up to 4 wives. So, and then he was further explaining that if he wants a divorce, he has to get permission of, I think it was 1, maybe 2 of the wives, or whatever. So I thought, that's hypocrisy though, isn't it? You're blaming our society, saying that our society, I mean, this is a nice guy, so he's not like he's a devout and he wasn't coming across in an angry manner. He's very nice and calm, which is almost just as bad, if not worse, really. So he was saying, you know, that all they have to do is get the permission and they can do it. I thought, well, how can you have that moral high ground and start saying that Western people, bearing in mind this guy's a taxi driver, he's working, fair enough, but at the same time, he's still, his attitude is not of one that's of what I would regard as full integration into society. Although he's in society, although he's working, he still has the attitude where he is separate and he is detracted from it. Him and everyone he knows, basically, with them being Muslim. So that kind of shone to me, which is a bit disturbing, even though the geezer was a nice guy. But I feel he was taking the moral high ground, and I thought you're a bit out of order there. So then he started to explain about Sunni and Shia on a basic level. I mean, like I say, it was only a short conversation, so we couldn't really go into it too much. He started talking about the differences between Sunni and Shia, or one of the main differences is that him being a Bangladeshi Sunni, obviously Muhammad is their prophet. Muhammad was kind of the prophet that was chosen by their Lord. Oh, fisherman over there. And then you've got the Shia, which is Allah, I think. And basically, his words, not mine, is that the Shia are disregarded, because basically the Shia believe that Muhammad is the wrong prophet. So by them having that stance, that means they are going against the word of the Lord, their Lord, not my Lord, their Lord, not Westerners' Lord, their Lord. So for that, there was no tolerance to a degree, which was quite disturbing. Now, he wasn't saying this in an angry way. He was talking as calm as you'd like, but that's his opinion. So it kind of disturbed me somewhat. So I kind of trumped him, and even I don't know too much about Islam, but he was trying to make out that basically his side of his so-called religion was the one, and Shia and the West are basically fucked up. So I mentioned to him, well, what about Muhammad marrying Aisha at the age of 6? And he goes, oh right, I don't really know too much about that. He knew obviously that, you know, he'd married her at 6, but he felt at that point he couldn't really get too into that conversation because he didn't know too much about it. So the one thing he did say to me that, well, if I've been told, now this is what he said, I've been told that if anyone was to bring that up, now fuck knows who told him this, it's obviously someone who's kind of indoctrinating him, but he said anyone who mentions this, this is what he said, I have to mention that Muhammad didn't lay a hand on her until she reached maturity, right? So I looked at him and I said, well, do you reckon that's right still? You know, bearing in mind, he's kind of digging into Western people, you know, which I've got my doubts about the way Western civilization's going and the demise, but like I say, to me, that's out of social engineering, literally. We're all watching videos, we're all watching TV, you know, the promotion of this, promotion of that, violence on TV. So it's social engineering. You know, it's that level of acceptance. The Overton window is being moved. It's moving from a chivalrous society into one that's kind of, who gives a fuck anymore, you know, do what you want. You know, and to me, that's not the people as such. That is just the way society is being led. So, same again, I don't blame society for that, but he does. But yet, he can allow and accept his so-called prophet marrying someone and them not really seeing how hypocritical he was being by saying that Western people, Western girls, how they're promiscuous, how the social degradation, but yet his prophet can marry a 6-year-old. Said, my daughter's 11. He said, I don't care what situation transpires, there's no way that I would allow my 11-year-old to marry anyone, even if he promised me he's not going to lay a hand on her. He said, to me, that is paedophilia. And to be fair, he took it, because there's not, like I say, you could tell he wasn't well versed. I'm not either. But common sense prevailed in that argument. And that was only one argument. You know? I just don't see how he can have that stance when his own religion kind of accepts almost paedophilia of girls and boys, and also accepts polygamy. Now he says to me that they're allowed 4 wives, and I'm thinking to myself, well, is that not the pot calling the kettle black? You know? So, I mean, the conversation pretty much ended. I mean, to be fair, the guy dropped me off, he turned the engine off, turned the meter off, and we were still talking about it 5 or 10 minutes outside my house. And he was taking in my points. And I do believe he got trumped, because to a degree he kind of went, oh, okay then, right, well, I need to get back to work now. And I thought, all right, fine. You know, it wasn't a confrontational conversation. It was quite a normal civil conversation, which to me is even worse. The fact that such a laid-back geezer, for all intents and purposes, is a nice guy, but has these beliefs and carry these beliefs. And I just didn't get it. It kind of stuck with me. So I'm thinking to myself, you're so wrong. You know, this is the so-called religion of peace. So I mean, I can't tar every Muslim with the same brush, and I'm not going to do that. I mean, that's been my whole premise. I don't do that. Although, you don't have to be affiliated to ISIS to have these staunch views. I think that's what that conversation kind of proved to me. And he also mentioned that he knew a chap in Oldham that had been arrested under terrorism charges. Now, he was trying to make light of it, that, well, you know, it's all because he's just watched a couple of ISIS videos. And I thought to myself, well, if you're going to watch a couple of ISIS videos, then to me, you're quite far down that street, as it were, in terms of if you're going to have ill feelings towards the West, that's one thing in your brain. If you're going to let that manifest into saying things, that's another thing. If you're going to let it manifest into watching videos and being taken in by it all, that's another thing. And then maybe that would lead to actions, which is another thing. So if it was a street, it's far down that street to really be watching them videos. Now, I don't know the absolute case that he was referring to. I didn't get any details, so I couldn't check it out. But I'm thinking, well, same again. You are ripping apart the West and their ideals, even though you're earning money in this country. God knows what you're doing with that money. I'm sure he's doing the honourable thing in terms of him and his family. Who knows? But he's quite acceptant and quite dismissive of people that are turning towards extreme views. Now, he's trying to say this geezer's a lovely geezer, but to be fair, this taxi driver was a lovely geezer. But listen to the way he felt about certain issues. There's definitely a non-compatibility issue going on, which we've all said, which the left won't have you talk about. As soon as you do mention that, you are racist. The amount of programs. Talk about social fucking engineering. Oh, lovely. You know what? I'm not going to go in there. I don't know how them bloody birds do it. They must have balls of steel. We talk about social engineering. The amount of programs I watched last night where Muslims were just slipped into the shot, whether it be an advert, whether it be a film, whether it be a TV show, and it was that obvious that their presence was irrelevant, because demographically they shouldn't be there. But same again, they're trying to make you acquiescent to the fact that Muslims are here to stay and they're all beautiful people, so we need to have them alongside us. Yeah? Now, I wouldn't mind that at all. And I'm not saying every Muslim has got nefarious ideals against the West, because I'm not. I happen to know good I'm not walking through that. Jesus Christ. So I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that nefarious feelings don't necessarily come from people who have extreme, or people on the outside who are extreme. We're talking about just everyday people. I mentioned in a previous video, I'm going to have to walk through it, shit. I was mentioning in a previous video that I went to my youngest daughter's netball presentation. Now, there was a Muslim family there because obviously their daughter must play in the netball, one of the teams. Don't believe it's my daughter's team, but there were several teams there. Now, they were there doing a presentation and, giving out all the... They wasn't giving out the cups, they were just like us, just sat and clapping and all that kind of stuff. But they wasn't integrating with anyone. They didn't seem to talk to anyone. As soon as they got their medals, what tends to happen after that? The disco starts. And this is when I was talking about the DJ that was playing a bit of nasty music, let's say. Or music that could have been a bit more radio friendly. Now, they'd fucked off. Now, it could have been anything. They could have been late for something. It could have been anything. So I'm not going to presume But at the same time, you get the feeling, well, we've come here for what we needed to come here for. We're not interested in kind of mingling. So, laters. Now, that's not integration. That's segregation. You're segregating yourself. To me. If I was to go about my life acting like that, I would expect people to kind of have the same feelings against me. You know, oh, you don't really want to mix with us, do you? Right then. And that is a common sense opinion. So it was all a bit strange. All very strange. So, like I say, I'm just having a little wonder about. Kind of walked into a dead end here. Kind of on my way home now. I'm going to go. Been chatting too long. I'd love to get on camera, but it'd be something out the Walking Dead to see me at this moment in time. I'm all clammy. Not feeling too well, but I'll be fine. I will be fine. Hopefully the missus ain't called the police. I haven't heard any helicopters yet, so far so good. So this is Red Pill Phil, just speaking his mind. Not trying to segregate. I'm a human being. We're all human beings. So I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone else. You know, some people regard the colour of the skin a way of segregating themselves, and I think over time we've all had enough of that shit. You know, I'm not a Malcolm X. I'm a Martin Luther Kinger. You know, it's the content of your character, literally. I've had one or two comments from a couple of geezers that talk about, why don't I talk about black issues? Well, for me, why don't I talk about black issues is because that is a form of divide and conquer again, and I'm not about that. As a person, doesn't matter what colour of your skin, I regard you've got the same opportunity as everyone else. Now, obviously, not everyone will agree with that, and you will get to certain levels in certain institutions where they will look at you and think, oh, well, we don't know whether we want him in this kind of... I get that, so I'm not trying to say I'm blind to that. I'm not. I totally appreciate that he's there. But if you come across in an intelligent and articulate way with anybody, you will break down that social wall. And that's how I've always found it. I've got friends of all ethnicities, and I literally don't see colour as a barrier. It's how you act. If you want to act a certain way, then you've got to expect a certain response. It's as simple as that. Now, people might say, oh, right, so what, have we all got to act white? No, you've just got to act like a human being. Full stop. Yeah? I want to be able to converse with all human beings. I don't want to talk a certain way so I can only be understood by a certain sect of people. I want to talk in a way where as soon as I walk out my door, I can converse with anyone. And I found from a very early age that has helped me in life. Being a DJ, I've travelled all over England. I've played gigs all over Europe. Because of that, because I'm a man who doesn't section himself off. Literally. So, people have got to understand that. People are people. And in order to get by in life, you've got to be able to converse on many levels. We all know that, no matter what your colour of your skin is. So, in answer to that question, people have got to look after themselves. There's no point in black militancy or white militancy, because that is playing into divide and conquer. You know, we all have our responsibilities, and there's consequences to actions. So you've kind of you've got to be very wary of that moving forward. So This is Red Pill Phil, chatting shit early in the morning, and I'm gonna go home now and feel sorry for myself. So thanks for listening, guys. Hope you all had a brilliant Christmas. I'm off for a few more days yet. In the construction industry, it kind of shuts down till New Year. So luckily, I've got a few more days to shake this off. So I hope you guys are doing all right. I hope Father Christmas has sorted you out. And if not, then there's always next year. Santa knows who's good and who's bad. So Red Pill Phil, loving everybody, no matter what your skin colour, no matter what your ethnicity, as long as you come across in an honourable way and love people. Okay? Hope you resonate, guys.